The book of Genesis, a collection of narrated stories. Creation of the world. In the beginning, there was nothing but darkness and chaos. But God, in His great power and love, said, "Let there be light." Suddenly, bright light burst through the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness night. The world was starting to come alive. On day 2, God made the sky, so wide and beautiful, splitting the waters above from the waters below. Then He gathered the waters to reveal dry land and made trees, flowers, and grass to fill the earth with beauty. Next, God created the sun to shine during the day and the moon and stars to light the night, marking seasons and time. On day 5, He filled the seas with fish and the sky with birds. On day 6, land animals appeared, lions, elephants, insects, and lastly, people, Adam and Eve, made in God's own image to care for His beautiful earth. After 6 days of creating everything, each step perfect and beautiful, God looked at all He had made. "It is very good," He said. On the 7th day, God rested, blessing the day of rest as a special time to worship and thank Him for His amazing creation. God creates Adam and Eve. In the beginning, God saw that the earth was empty and dark. He said, "Let there be life," and His words brought forth beautiful things everywhere. Plants, animals, and the shining sun. But something was still missing, someone to enjoy His creation. God decided to make humans, people who could love Him and care for the world. First, He formed a man, Adam, from dust. God gently shaped him, and then with love, He breathed His own breath into Adam's nostrils. Adam became a living person, but Adam was alone. So God made a special helper, Eve. She was made from one of Adam's ribs to stand by his side and help him. God looked at Adam and Eve and saw they were very good. They lived happily in the beautiful garden, loving God and caring for His world. And today, God still loves us and wants us to love Him too. God loves us so much that He made us to enjoy His world and care for others. When we love God and each other, we're living the way He planned. The fall of man. In the beautiful Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve enjoyed a perfect life, surrounded by God's creations. "Enjoy any fruit," God said, "but do not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil." One day, a clever serpent approached Eve. "Did God really say you can't eat from any tree?" the serpent asked. "You won't die," it assured. "You'll be like God, knowing good and evil." Eve, tempted, took the fruit and ate it. She shared it with Adam, and suddenly their eyes were opened to their mistake. Feeling ashamed, Adam and Eve hid from God among the trees. God called out, "Where are you?" and learned of their disobedience. Though they faced consequences, God promised hope for the future. This story teaches us about the importance of obedience and how God's love and plan for redemption endure. The story of Cain and Abel. Adam and Eve's sons, Cain and Abel, grew up in God's beautiful world. Cain worked the land, and Abel cared for sheep. Both wanted to give God their best, Cain with his crops and Abel with his sheep. One day, they each presented their offerings to God. God looked kindly on Abel's offering because Abel gave with a sincere heart. But he was not pleased with Cain's because it wasn't offered with the right attitude. Cain became angry and jealous, his heart filled with bitterness. God warned Cain, "Sin is knocking at your door, but you must choose the right way." But Cain ignored the warning. Cain's jealousy led him to hurt his brother Abel in a terrible act. When God saw what happened, he gently asked Cain, "Where's your brother?" Cain tried to hide, but God knew everything. Cain learned that obedience and a loving heart matter most to God. The story reminds us that God cares about our hearts, and we are called to love and obey Him. God looks at our hearts. Obedience, love, and purity are more important than gifts. We must choose love and obedience over jealousy. The story of Noah Ark. In a time long ago, when the world was filled with corruption and wickedness, God looked down upon His creation and saw that the hearts of humanity were continually evil. Grieved by this, He decided to cleanse the earth and start anew. However, among all the people, there was one man who stood out, Noah, a righteous man who walked faithfully with God. God spoke to Noah, saying, "I am going to bring a flood to destroy all life under the heavens. But you, Noah, will build an ark to save yourself and your family." He provided Noah with detailed instructions on how to construct a great wooden ship, measuring 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. With unwavering faith, Noah obeyed God's command. He gathered his family and began the monumental task of building the ark. The people around him mocked and scorned, not believing the impending destruction. Yet Noah remained steadfast in his faith, preaching repentance as he worked diligently on the ark. After years of labor, the ark was finally complete. God instructed Noah to gather 2 of every kind of animal, male and female, to enter the ark along with his family, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives. As the animals came 2 by 2, the scene was a miraculous testament to God's command. Then the skies darkened and the earth shook as rain began to pour. For 40 days and 40 nights, the floodwaters rose, covering the earth and erasing all living creatures. But inside the ark, Noah, his family, and the animals were safe and secure. After the rain stopped, the waters gradually receded. Noah patiently waited for God's command. One day, he sent out a raven and then a dove to see if the waters had abated. After several days, the dove returned with a freshly plucked olive leaf, a sign that the earth was beginning to emerge anew. Finally, God spoke to Noah, saying, "Come out of the ark, you and your family, and the animals with you." As they stepped out onto dry ground, Noah built an altar to the Lord and offered sacrifices, expressing his gratitude for their safety. In response, God promised Noah that he would never again destroy the earth with a flood, setting a rainbow in the sky as a sign of this everlasting covenant. The story of Noah's Ark teaches us about faith, obedience, and God's mercy. It serves as a reminder that even in times of judgment, God provides a way for salvation and a fresh start. Join us as we explore this timeless tale of hope, resilience, and the beauty of new beginnings. The Tower of Babel, a story of ambition and division. Long after the flood, everyone spoke the same language and lived in one land. They decided to build a tall tower to make a name for themselves and reach heaven. "Let's build something amazing," they said, bricks and mortar in hand, working together with happy energy. God saw what they were doing and knew their pride was growing strong. "This isn't right," he said. "They are trying to be like me." So God confused their language, making it impossible for them to understand each other. The builders stopped, confused and frustrated, and their plans were stopped. Because of their pride, the people had to scatter and live in different places. The tower they wanted to build was never finished. But this story teaches us to stay humble and obey God's plan, trusting that His way is best. When we try to do things without Him, we can forget that His love and wisdom are more important than anything we build. God's call to Abraham, a new beginning. In a time long ago, in the ancient city of Ur, God spoke to a man named Abram. With a clear voice that echoed in his heart, the Lord called him to embark on a journey that would change his life and the lives of countless generations to come. "Abram," God said, "leave your homeland, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. Your name will be great, and you will be a blessing to others. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you." With faith and courage, Abram listened and obeyed. He gathered his belongings, took his wife Sarai, and set out with his nephew Lot, leaving the familiarity of his homeland behind. Little did he know this adventure would be filled with challenges, divine encounters, and opportunities to experience God's unwavering love. As they traveled, Abram faced obstacles and uncertainties. In every difficulty, he sought the Lord's guidance, building altars and calling upon God's name. In times of doubt, the Lord reassured him, promising that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky. Abram's journey took him through deserts, across mountains, and into foreign lands, but each step was a testament to his unwavering trust in God. He experienced moments of fear and temptation, yet through it all, his faith remained steadfast. This pivotal moment marked the beginning of a covenant between God and Abram, a promise that would shape the course of history and lay the foundation for a great nation. Abram's faithfulness and obedience were rewarded, leading to the birth of a new identity as Abraham, the father of many nations. The fall of Sodom and Gomorrah. In the ancient world, there existed two cities filled with wickedness, Sodom and Gomorrah. Their inhabitants had turned away from righteousness, indulging in sinful behaviors that grieved the heart of God. The cries of those wronged reached the heavens, prompting God to take action. Abraham, a faithful servant of God, learned of the impending judgment upon these cities. Moved by compassion for his nephew Lot, who lived in Sodom, Abraham boldly approached God. He pleaded, "Will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you spare it for their sake?" God listened to Abraham and replied, "If I find 50 righteous people in Sodom, I will spare the whole city." Abraham continued to negotiate, reducing the number until they reached 10. God assured him that if 10 righteous people were found, he would not destroy the city. However, the cities were far from just, and soon God's judgment was set in motion. 2 angels were sent to Sodom to warn Lot of the impending doom. As they arrived, Lot welcomed them into his home, urging them to stay the night. The men of the city, however, surrounded the house, demanding to bring the visitors out so they could harm them. In a desperate attempt to protect his guests, Lot offered his daughters to the mob instead. The angels intervened, striking the attackers with blindness and warned Lot to flee with his family, for the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah was imminent. Early the next morning, the angels urged Lot, "Hurry, take your wife and 2 daughters and escape to the mountains. Do not look back." They fled to the nearby town of Zoar, and as they reached safety, the sky above Sodom and Gomorrah erupted in flames and brimstone, destroying the cities and everything in them. As they escaped, Lot's wife looked back at the fiery destruction and was turned into a pillar of salt, an enduring reminder of the consequences of disobedience. The cities of Sodom and Gomorrah were no more, their wickedness met with divine justice. This powerful story serves as a sobering reminder of the importance of righteousness and the consequences of turning away from God. It illustrates the enduring truth that justice is served and that God watches over those who strive to do right, offering protection and mercy to those who seek it. Abraham and Isaac's story. Trusting God's plan. In the land of Canaan, one of the most profound stories of faith unfolds. This is the story of Abraham and his beloved son, Isaac. After years of waiting and trusting in God's promises, Abraham was blessed with a son, Isaac, at an old age. The joy of Isaac's birth brought hope and fulfillment of God's covenant made with Abraham, that he would be the father of a great nation. As Isaac grew, he became the light of Abraham's life, symbolizing God's faithfulness. God had promised that through Isaac, Abraham's descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky. But then came a test of faith, one that would challenge everything Abraham held dear. One day, God called to Abraham, saying, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you." Astonishment and grief filled Abraham's heart, yet he chose to trust God completely. Early the next morning, Abraham prepared for the journey, taking with him Isaac, wood for the offering, and fire. Together, they traveled to the designated mountain, and as they walked, Isaac noticed something was amiss. "Father, the fire and wood are here, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" he asked. With great faith, Abraham replied, "God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." When they arrived at the mountain, Abraham built an altar, laid the wood upon it, and bound Isaac. With a heavy heart but unwavering faith, Abraham prepared to offer his son. Just as he raised the knife, an angel of the Lord called out from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham, do not lay a hand on the boy. Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." In that moment, God provided a ram caught in a thicket nearby, and Abraham offered it as a sacrifice instead of Isaac. The dramatic scene was a powerful testament to Abraham's faith and obedience. God then reaffirmed his covenant, promising to bless Abraham and make his descendants a mighty nation. This story of Abraham and Isaac teaches us profound lessons about faith, obedience, and God's provision. It reminds us that God's plans may challenge our understanding, but through trust and faithfulness, we can experience his unwavering love and guidance in our lives. Join us as we reflect on this pivotal moment in biblical history, reminding us that God is always faithful to his promises. The story of Rebekah, following God's path. In the ancient land of Mesopotamia, there lived a young woman named Rebekah. She was known for her beauty, kindness, and strong character. Little did she know that her life was about to change forever. and that she would play a significant role in God's plan. One day, Abraham, the father of many nations, sent his servant to find a wife for his son Isaac. He wanted a woman from his own kin, someone who would share their faith and heritage. Abraham's servant set out on a long journey, praying earnestly for guidance. He asked God to show him a sign, saying, "The woman who offers to draw water for me and my camels will be the one you have chosen." When the servant arrived at the city of Nahor, he went to the well and waited. Soon he saw a beautiful young woman approaching with a water jug on her shoulder. It was Rebekah. As she drew water for the servant, she offered to water his camels as well, exactly as he had prayed. The servant's heart filled with gratitude as he realized that God had answered his prayer. He engaged Rebekah in conversation, asking about her family. When he learned that she was a relative of Abraham, he rejoiced and presented her with gifts of gold and jewelry, thanking her for her kindness. Rebekah hurried home to tell her family about the strange man at the well. Her brother Laban, excited by the gifts, ran to meet the servant. After hearing the servant's story and understanding the divine connection, Rebekah's family welcomed him with open arms. The servant explained why he had come, and he sought their consent for Rebekah to return with him to become Isaac's bride. After much discussion, they agreed, but they wanted to ask Rebekah if she was willing to go. When they called for Rebekah, she confidently responded, "I will go." This decisive answer demonstrated her faith and willingness to follow God's path despite the unknown that lay ahead. As they journeyed back to Canaan, Rebekah's heart was filled with hope and excitement. When she arrived, she saw Isaac meditating in a field, and as they met, they knew they were destined for each other. Their union was blessed by God, and together they built a family that would play a crucial role in the unfolding of his promises. The story of Rebekah reminds us of the importance of faith, obedience, and the courage to follow God's path, even when it leads us into unfamiliar territory. It teaches us that, like Rebekah, we can trust in God's plan and embrace the opportunities He presents to us. Join us as we celebrate this beautiful narrative of love, faith, and divine purpose. The story of Jacob and Esau rivalry. Jacob and Esau were twin brothers born to Isaac and Rebekah. Even in their mother's womb, the brothers struggled against each other. Esau, the firstborn, was rugged and favored by their father Isaac, while Jacob, quieter and more cunning, became Rebekah's favorite. As they grew, their differences became more pronounced. Esau, a skillful hunter, thrived in the outdoors, while Jacob preferred the comforts of home. One day, after returning famished from the fields, Esau begged Jacob for some of the stew he was cooking. Seizing the opportunity, Jacob demanded Esau's birthright in exchange for the meal. Driven by hunger, Esau foolishly agreed, unaware of the long-term consequences this would bring. Years later, Isaac, now old and blind, wished to bless Esau as his firstborn. When Rebekah overheard this, she conspired with Jacob to deceive Isaac. She dressed Jacob in Esau's clothing and covered his arms with goat skins to mimic Esau's hairy texture. When Jacob approached Isaac, the deception was successful. Isaac unknowingly bestowed the blessing meant for Esau upon Jacob. Upon discovering this betrayal, Esau was devastated and vowed to kill Jacob. Fearing for his life, Jacob fled to his uncle Laban's household, embarking on a journey that would lead to personal growth and transformation. After many years, Jacob became prosperous and decided to return home. Fearing Esau's wrath, he sent gifts ahead to appease his brother. To his surprise, Esau met Jacob with unexpected kindness, embracing him in forgiveness and love. The rivalry between Jacob and Esau teaches powerful lessons about family dynamics, forgiveness, and the intricate unfolding of divine plans. It demonstrates that despite conflicts and betrayals, reconciliation is possible through humility and courage. Jacob's dream, the ladder to heaven. At Bethel, Jacob, the son of Isaac and Rebekah, set out on a journey from Beersheba to Haran, fleeing from his brother Esau's wrath. As night fell, he found a quiet place to rest and decided to sleep under the stars. Using a stone as a pillow, Jacob lay down and fell into a deep slumber. In his dream, he saw a magnificent ladder stretching from earth to heaven. Angels ascended and descended on the ladder, connecting the earthly realm with the divine. At the top of the ladder stood the Lord, who spoke to Jacob, reaffirming the covenant made with his grandfather Abraham and his father Isaac. God promised Jacob that his descendants would be as numerous as the dust of the earth, and that they would inherit the land on which he was lying. God assured Jacob of his presence and protection, saying, "I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go. I will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised." Awakening from the dream, Jacob was filled with awe and wonder. He realized that he had encountered a sacred place, exclaiming, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware of it." In reverence, he took the stone he had used as a pillow, set it up as a pillar, and poured oil on it, dedicating the site to God. He named the place Bethel, which means house of God, although it had previously been called Luz. Jacob then made a vow, declaring that if God would be with him, provide for him, and bring him back to his father's house safely, then the Lord would be his God, and the stone pillar would become a house of worship. Jacob's dream at Bethel symbolizes the connection between heaven and earth and the promises of God. It reinforces the importance of faith and the assurance that, even in moments of uncertainty, God is present and guiding us toward our destiny. The story of Jacob's wives and children. After fleeing from his brother Esau, Jacob journeyed to Haran to find a wife from his mother's family. Upon arrival, he met Rachel at a well and fell in love with her at first sight. Determined to win her heart, Jacob agreed to work for her father Laban for 7 years in exchange for Rachel's hand in marriage. However, on the wedding night, Laban deceived Jacob, giving him Leah, Rachel's older sister, instead. When Jacob realized he had been tricked, he confronted Laban, who explained that it was not customary to marry off the younger daughter before the older. Jacob, eager to marry Rachel, worked another 7 years to gain her. Once married, Leah bore Jacob 4 sons, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Despite her attempts to win Jacob's love, Leah knew he favored Rachel, who struggled with infertility. In her desperation, Rachel gave her maid, Bilhah, to Jacob to bear children on her behalf. Bilhah had 2 sons, Dan and Naphtali. Seeing Rachel's success, Leah also followed suit and offered her maid, Zilpah, to Jacob, who bore Gad and Asher. Eventually, God opened Rachel's womb, and she gave birth to Joseph, soon followed by Benjamin. Through these births, Jacob fathered 12 sons and 1 daughter, Dinah, laying the foundation for the future tribes of Israel. Jacob's family dynamics were complex, filled with rivalry, love, and jealousy. Despite the challenges he faced, Jacob's faith in God's promises remained steadfast throughout his life. This story illustrates the themes of love, perseverance, and the unfolding of God's divine plan through imperfect human relationships. The tale of Jacob's wives and children is a testament to the importance of faith, trust, and the profound impact of family ties in shaping one's destiny. Jacob's Wrestle with God, a story of faith. As Jacob prepared to return home after years away, he was filled with anxiety about meeting his brother Esau, from whom he had fled due to fear of retribution for stealing his birthright. Before crossing the river Jabbok, Jacob sent his family and possessions ahead, choosing instead to spend the night alone under the starry sky. In the stillness of the night, a mysterious figure appeared and began to wrestle with Jacob. The struggle lasted until dawn, with both participants equally matched, showcasing Jacob's determination and strength. As they grappled, Jacob held on tightly, refusing to let go, even as the figure attempted to break free. In a moment of intense struggle, the figure touched Jacob's hip, dislocating it, but failing to overpower him. Jacob, in pain yet resolute, declared, "I will not let you go until you bless me." This moment encapsulated Jacob's unwavering faith as he sought a divine blessing amid physical and spiritual battle. The figure responded, "What is your name?" Jacob answered, and then he was given a new name, Israel, meaning he struggles with God. This renaming symbolized Jacob's transformation and the deepening of his relationship with the divine. As dawn broke, Jacob limped away from the encounter, a physical reminder of his struggle, but also filled with a renewed sense of purpose and faith. He understood that through his wrestling with God, he had gained not only a blessing, but a deeper understanding of himself and his place in God's plan. Jacob's wrestle with God teaches us the power of perseverance, the importance of seeking divine guidance, and the strength that can emerge from struggles of faith. It is a powerful reminder that even in our darkest moments, holding on to faith can lead to profound transformation and blessings. Joseph and the coat of many colors. In the land of Canaan, a young and vibrant Joseph tended his father Jacob's flocks alongside his brothers. Joseph, favored by his father, was gifted a magnificent coat of many colors. This coat was not just a garment, but a symbol of his father's special affection for him. Its colors dazzled under the sun, capturing the attention and envy of his brothers. Despite his youth, Joseph was blessed with dreams that foretold greatness. He eagerly shared them with his family, speaking of sheaves of grain and celestial bodies bowing before him. But his brothers didn't see the wonder in these dreams. Instead, they saw arrogance and were consumed by jealousy. "Do you intend to reign over us?" they grumbled, disbelief and anger clouding their expressions. One day, while Joseph's brothers were grazing their flocks far from home, they spotted Joseph approaching in the distance, his colorful coat a beacon against the landscape. Fueled by envy and anger, they hatched a plan. As Joseph neared, they seized him, stripping him of his beloved coat and casting him into a dry, empty well. Joseph's pleas echoed in the pit, a mixture of fear and confusion. Rather than leave him to perish, they sold Joseph to a band of Ishmaelite traders, who would take him to a new life in Egypt, a place unknown to him. Left with the coat, now torn and stained with goat's blood, the brothers returned to Jacob, concocting a tale of Joseph being lost to a wild beast. Jacob's heart shattered in mourning, believing his beloved son was gone. As Joseph journeyed toward Egypt, seeds were sown for a future story of redemption and promise. Though separated from his family, Joseph's tale was far from over. It was a story that would illustrate the dangers of envy and the power of resilience, setting the stage for Joseph's rise to prominence in a land that would become a new home. In this story, we are reminded of the importance of humility, empathy, and forgiveness. Joseph's journey, marked by trials and triumphs, teaches us about the destructive nature of jealousy and the strength found in maintaining faith through adversity. Joseph in Potiphar's house. In ancient Egypt, Joseph found himself a slave sold by his own brothers, but even in adversity, his spirit remained unbroken. Serving in the house of Potiphar, an Egyptian officer, Joseph's diligence and honesty quickly earned him favor. Potiphar entrusted him with the responsibility of managing his entire household. Under Joseph's guidance, prosperity flourished. However, his journey took a turn. Potiphar's wife, taken with Joseph's good looks, sought to entice him. But Joseph, loyal to his master and his God, refused her advances. "How could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" he declared firmly. Embarrassed and angry by his rejection, she falsely accused Joseph of impropriety, presenting his cloak as false evidence. Believing his wife's deceit, Potiphar cast Joseph into prison. In this place of despair, Joseph's faith never wavered. His integrity remained unshaken, and his story was far from over. Though falsely accused and unjustly imprisoned, the tale of Joseph is one of hope and perseverance, a reminder of the faith we must hold steadfastly even when life leads us through shadows. Joseph in prison. After being falsely accused by Potiphar's wife, Joseph found himself thrust into a dark and imposing prison, a stark contrast to the position of trust he once held in Potiphar's house. Though his circumstances were dire, Joseph refused to let despair take hold. Instead, he remained resilient, keeping his faith alive even in the darkest of times. The prison environment was harsh, with cold stone walls and dim lighting. It would have been easy for Joseph to succumb to hopelessness, but he chose to rise above it. He began to assist the other prisoners, offering support, kindness, and words of encouragement, showcasing his unwavering spirit and leadership qualities. One day, 2 new inmates were brought into the prison, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker. They were visibly distressed, their faces clouded with worry. Joseph noticed their troubled expressions and approached them, asking, "Why are your faces so downcast today?" The cupbearer and baker shared their unsettling dreams with Joseph, explaining that they had each experienced vivid visions that left them baffled. The cupbearer recounted his dream. "In my dream, I saw a vine with 3 branches. As it budded, it blossomed and produced grapes, and I pressed the grapes into Pharaoh's cup and gave it to him." Joseph listened intently, and after a moment of reflection, he replied, "This is what it means. The 3 branches represent 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your position, and you will once again be Pharaoh's cupbearer." The cupbearer's face brightened at the interpretation, and he eagerly sought more insight. Joseph then turned to the baker, who shared his own troubling dream. "In my dream, I had 3 white baskets on my head. The top basket held baked goods for Pharaoh, but the birds were eating them out of the basket." Joseph paused, sensing the weight of the moment. He responded, "This is also the interpretation. The 3 baskets represent 3 days. Within 3 days Pharaoh will lift up your head as well, but he will hang you on a tree, and the birds will eat your flesh." Joseph's interpretations came to pass as he accurately predicted the fate of both men. After the cupbearer was restored to his position, he promised to remember Joseph and mention him to Pharaoh. But he forgot, leaving Joseph to languish in prison a while longer. In these challenging days, Joseph showed incredible resilience, empathy, and unwavering faith. His ability to interpret dreams not only set the stage for his eventual rise, but also illuminated the importance of maintaining hope and purpose, even in difficult situations. Joseph's time in prison became a testament to his character and the plans God had for his life. Joseph, from prison to power. In the ancient land of Egypt, there once lived a powerful Pharaoh who ruled with great authority. One night, he had 2 perplexing dreams that troubled him deeply. In his first dream, Pharaoh saw 7 sleek, healthy cows grazing by the Nile. Suddenly, 7 gaunt, emaciated cows appeared and devoured the healthy ones. In his second dream, he saw 7 full heads of grain growing on a single stalk, only to be consumed by 7 thin and scorched heads of grain. Awakening with a start, Pharaoh summoned his wise men and magicians, desperate for answers, but none could interpret the dreams. His frustration grew, leaving him more troubled than before. It was during this time that the cupbearer remembered Joseph, a Hebrew prisoner known for his ability to interpret dreams through divine insight. Pharaoh called for Joseph, who was hurriedly cleaned up and brought before the king. As he stood before Pharaoh, Joseph listened intently as the king shared his dreams. With unwavering faith, Joseph explained that both dreams foretold of 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of severe famine. Pharaoh was amazed by Joseph's wisdom and insight. Recognizing the truth in Joseph's words, he appointed him as second in command over all of Egypt, entrusting him with the responsibility of preparing for the coming famine. Joseph was given fine robes and a signet ring, symbols of his new authority. Joseph worked diligently to store grain during the years of plenty, ensuring that Egypt would have enough to sustain itself during the famine. When the famine struck, Joseph became the lifeline for many, including his own brothers who came seeking food. Through trials and challenges, Joseph's rise from a prisoner to a powerful leader was a testament to faith and resilience. He transformed adversity into opportunity, proving that even in the darkest times, hope and purpose can emerge. This story teaches us about the importance of faith, humility, and the belief that God has a plan for our lives, no matter the circumstances we face. Joseph's journey from dreams to destiny is a powerful reminder that with trust and perseverance, we can rise above our trials and fulfill our true purpose. Healing hearts. Joseph forgives his brothers. In the land of Egypt, Joseph had risen to great power as the second in command to Pharaoh, thanks to his ability to interpret dreams. During a time of famine, his brothers traveled to Egypt seeking food. They did not recognize Joseph as he had changed significantly during his years away from home. When they arrived, Joseph, now a powerful leader, watched them closely. Although he could recognize them immediately, he chose to speak harshly, testing their character and see if they had changed. "You are spies!" he exclaimed sternly, making them anxious and fearful. The brothers pleaded with Joseph, revealing their hardship and the sorrow they carried for their family back home. They shared the struggles they faced and expressed regret for their past actions. Among the brothers was Benjamin, Joseph's youngest brother, whom he longed to see. After a series of tests, Joseph could no longer contain his emotions. He sent all the attendants away and revealed his true identity to his brothers. "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into slavery," he declared. His brothers were shocked and terrified, realizing they stood before the brother they had wronged. But instead of seeking revenge, Joseph embraced them, tears streaming down his face. "Do not be afraid," he said gently. "What you intended for evil, God intended for good." Their fear turned to relief as they recognized his compassion and forgiveness. Joseph invited them to bring their father Jacob and the rest of the family to live in Egypt, promising them land and abundance. The brothers shared heartfelt embraces, and the bonds of family were restored. Through this powerful story, we learn the importance of forgiveness and the healing that comes from letting go of past grievances. Joseph's ability to forgive demonstrates the strength of love and the transformative power of reconciliation, reminding us that even in the face of betrayal, compassion can lead to healing and unity. This tale of Joseph and his brothers teaches us that in the spirit of love and forgiveness, we can overcome our past and move forward together as a family.